So, welcome, John.
Hi.
Thanks so much for doing this. I'm really, really grateful.
That's a pleasure.
I just wondered if you could start off by telling us who you are and kind of where you are in the world and what you're up to.
I'm in the room next to you because I'm your brother. I know you wanted to be somebody else, but so yeah. Hi. I'm pretending to be somebody else though. I'm pretending to be John Parkin, and I wrote a book called "Fuck It: The Ultimate Spiritual Way." Whenever 6 or 7 years ago, and I live in Italy. I used to run a retreat called The Hill That Breathes, but now we simply run Fuck It retreats all over the place in Italy and in the UK. So that's me. Yeah, I'm most known now for doing Fuck It and saying Fuck It a lot.
There's something really irreverent around saying "fuck it."
Well, it's irreverent, and I was interested in it originally because it's also spiritual, which kind of surprised me, and that's what made me write the book in the first place. Because I found that after practicing meditation, etc., and it's a big etc., lots of stuff for many years that are spiritual practices, I found that I was still saying "fuck it" to things. So. And I found that fuck it was working in a very spiritual way, i.e. it allowed me to relax and let go and find a kind of more peaceful place. So it was working.
So could you tell me a bit, you were saying about it helped you find a more peaceful place. Can you share a bit of that journey with us about kind of what was going on for you and then what's taken you to Italy?
I can, yeah. I mean, my drive, I used to work. I say I used to work pretty hard. I work pretty hard now, but I used to work in London in an advertising agency, and as a writer, as a copywriter, and so pretty much the London life, the kind of busy media life, and I wasn't very well also when I was in my 20s. So I recognised that that stress was contributing to my illness. Mm. So I tried to find ways to relax over those years, and I'd always have that mix of going for it and working really hard and coming up with lots of ideas, and then realizing it was taking its toll on me, and then trying to chill out really and relax and take time off, and it was often out of balance. I was often working too hard. So yeah, the kind of move to Italy came from a desire to put my feet up more and to be in a lovely place and spend my life meditating, really. It never worked out, is the truth, in that way, but it worked out in a different way. But that was the idea. The idea was to stop working so hard and running around all the time and kind of hang around with people, eating lovely food and teaching people how to meditate and relax.
And I'm curious about the piece before you get there. So what was the kind of, because it sounds idealistic, doesn't it? You know, I'm doing this really tough job, and then eventually I can say fuck it to it and create this amazing life, or a life that's still hard. What was this kind of, what did you have to push against to get to you where you are now?
I didn't have to push against anything, really. I mean, it was almost, there was no choice about it. I mean, I actually, in many ways, I enjoyed my job, and in fact, I turned my job, because my job, I basically, the path was something like I was a creative in an advertising agency, so I was writing mainly television advertisements, and I was very, very interested in meditation, Tai Chi. I trained as a shamanic healer, so I managed to bring that into the role. So the last couple of years of my job, I was working part-time. I was writing on my day and a half off. So I was writing film scripts on my day and a half off. And on my 3.5 days at work, I was basically putting large groups of people into a trance and getting paid quite a bit of money for it. So I became kind of like a company shaman. I'd go into companies and do the kind of normal stuff, kind of product development, helping people come up with ideas, but using freaky methods that nobody'd seen before, basically. So hypnosis and kind of shamanic trances. So it was quite a good job in the end. But we still, it wasn't what we wanted, and we kind of couldn't help it but leave, really. It just felt very natural to come to Italy. I mean, Gaia, my wife, is Italian, so it wasn't like going to the moon. Though, yeah, it's pretty much like going to the moon, actually. Yeah, it was like going to the moon, but my wife was born on the moon, so that made it easy because she could speak the moon language.
And did you kind of have a clear sense of what you were going to? So, like was there some part of you that felt you were destined for this?
So I'm just gonna. I think my mobile phone is interfering.
Funny how they do those things.
I haven't got my mobile phone. It can't be. I see this. Hold on a second. I'll push it away. Wait. There we go.
Thank you.
So, your question is, did I think it was my destiny?
Or did you have this kind of, like often people describe like I had this sense that I was meant for something more or different, or, because what I'm hearing is you liked what you were doing, but it just felt like a natural evolvement.
Yeah, that's right. I like what I was doing. Okay, so the backdrop to this is not just about work, it was about my health. So because I wasn't very well, I assumed that coming to a kind of countryside, sunny place would make me well. In fact, the opposite was the case. It made me more sick. So we came out here and I actually got more sick. I never, though, had a thought that it wasn't enough what we were doing, or that this was our calling or anything. And that's still the case. I kind of do what I fancy. And if what I'm doing stops being what I fancy, then I try to stop doing it. There's usually a kind of a delay on these things of between 6 months and 2 years, I find. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you can kind of go, okay, I really don't fancy doing this anymore. And it's not usually that you can walk out. It usually takes a while to walk out. And that's kind of, and I find that all the time. I found that, we closed our retreat last year because we didn't fancy running a retreat anymore. But it took us a while to kind of set up the next step and make the next step work. So it's not that we did it and we kind of then were settled. We're always doing it. We do it every day, really.
And what is it that you fancy right now? So, like, what is it that are you in that place of I enjoy what I'm doing? And
no, generally not. Well,
I'm very interested.
I'm very interested in this because it's. Today, yes. This morning I've been making music, which is what I want to do next, really. So I've booked a thing in December called the Fuck It Experience, which is like an evening. It's an evening. All the places are already booked, even though I haven't got the music ready. It's in Bush Hall in London, and so there'll be 300 people. Me on the stage creating some kind of experience, which is me talking about fuck it and then having amazing music and videos, probably videos, to kind of get people into the mood of letting go. So that's my current joy. It's just that I don't get so much chance to do it. So and I love it. So this morning I've had an amazing time making a track for that, and that's fantastic. But I'm tell you what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the fact that it's not just about getting to where you want. It's about, and then that being okay. It's about playing between tension and relaxation, because the tension of not being happy here or not being completely contented creates a really interesting compulsion to do something fantastic. My sense is that unless we were, I hesitate to use the word unhappy, but not completely fulfilled in the present, then we wouldn't achieve amazing things sometimes. So there's a really interesting interplay. I think you kind of have to have some tension in your life in order to create this amazing whatever it is that helps you to relax.
Yeah.
Which is different to how I used to think.
Well, and that's also different though too. So like I meet quite a lot of folks who are kind of comfortably uncomfortable, or is it the other way around? I can't remember. Uncomfortably comfortable. So
yeah.
they'll complain. I mean, we're good in the UK at complaining anyway, right?
Yeah.
But they'll complain about what they're doing, and I would include myself in that. I've been in that place. So, but then don't, like to push beyond that. It's too easy to argue for your current circumstances. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and I think we all do that because it's easier to be relatively unhappy in our present situation than to try something new and fail.
Yeah.
That's the problem. We're all scared of failure, and which is, I mean, not to be too philosophical about it, but I think we're all scared of death in the end.
Yeah.
And failure and things going wrong is a kind of little death, really. So yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we prefer to sit there in that whatever it is, the situation we're in, rather than say fuck it and go for it, because it's a risk. It's always a risk to kind of step out from where you are. Is a risk, but nothing ever gets really changed, or no interesting things get done unless you're willing to kind of stand up and look silly, which is what we have to do, really. And for all your friends to tell you you're an idiot, and your parents to think that you're making a big mistake, or your children to think that you're insane, whatever it is. That's the kind of, for people around you to think you're being stupid, and for you potentially to look like an idiot. But it's a very alive place. I think the place you're talking about, which is okay, I'm here, it's kind of working out, but I'm not particularly happy, so uncomfortably comfortable, is a dead place, really. And the place where you're playing with new things and trying new things out and taking risks and standing up and willing to look like an idiot is a very alive place, and can be quite addictive, actually. That's the kind of, if you go too far down that line, it's the kind of adrenaline junkie kind
Always
of
seeking it.
yeah, mountain biking off the edge of cliffs land, really, which I don't do, but I do like since I've been doing a lot of this stuff in the last 10 years, I've stood up in quite a few situations where it's gone pretty wrong. You know what I mean? Well, I've been in front of a lot of people because I experiment with what's best. So let's say I'm talking to 200 people about fuck it, I've been trying to work out whether it's better to rehearse stuff and kind of then just go through the routine of explaining it, or whether it's best to turn up and stand there and see what happens when I stand there, and other times decide just to put people into a trance and do it. So I don't just have one set thing I do. I do something different every time.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, you take a risk with it. And I've had times when I've decided to stand up and say something that felt inspirational at the time, but the inspiration didn't come. so 200 people sitting there kind of looking at me, getting more and more embarrassed.
And so how do you recover in those moments? What do you recover to?
Well, I'm usually okay because I'm used to the feeling of it of it going wrong.
It's not a voice going, "Oh shit."
Yeah, there is. I mean, I remember one time in particular. I can't remember what. Oh God, when I was experimenting with some of this music for the first time, and I was playing other people's music, but I was talking over it. And it just didn't work. It wasn't well enough set up. It wasn't staged. The way I'd done the set and everything didn't work well enough. And there was a moment where I thought, I really need to just get up and run now. I thought, no, I'll stay here. I will stay and see it through. And I did. And it kind of gave me the determination to kind of come back and do it again and not make such an idiot of myself the next time. And I did it another time, and it kind of healed the first time. The second time it was good and kind of worked. But then I came away thinking, well, I've healed that first occasion, but now I still want to do some more. So that's kind of how it works for me. I try and push it and feel a bit scared about it, and then it becomes a bit boring, and so I try and get a bit more scared next time.